So I asked and you all answered. Now I present to you the perfect setup episode 5. And I called this particular theme simply Hello. What's going on, everyone? Tech Me Out here. And first, let me start off by saying I'm gonna do my best to recall all of the tweaks that I used. But if you noticed something I didn't mention, just drop a comment and I'll see what I can do. Now, if you're curious about the settings that I use for each tweak, that information can be found on my website. Now, if you're feeling this type of video, go ahead and hit that like button. That way I'm better aware that you do. Now that we have that out of the way, let's talk. Now, in terms of protection on my iPhone 6s Plus, I'm rocking a skin by dbrand. So yes, Team dbrand, what's up? On the back, I have a yellow skin, and along the top and bottom, I have a white skin. And then I complemented the front of my device with the black skin. And I thought this setup flowed really good with my gold phone, so that's pretty much all I have up here. So this first tweak we have is known as RespringProgress, and it's basically going to show you the progress of your device actually booting up to your lock screen. And speaking of lock screens, this gorgeous one was done with a couple of tweaks. Starting at the top in my status bar, I have HideMeX installed to get rid of certain elements, such as my clock and things like that from being visible. I also have Wink installed, which is supposed to give me the option to tap up here and make everything visible, but it doesn't for whatever reason want to work on your lock screen, but it will work on your home screen, which I'll show you in a few. Now moving down from that, this wallpaper here can be found down below in the description box if you're feeling it as much as I am, because to me, it really sets off this minimal look that I have going on here. Now taking it down to the bottom where my clock is, you see that I have my clock, the date, as well as the temperature outside, and I achieved this with Lock Plus. So how that works is if I slide in from the right over here, it gives me the option to pull up some themes. So if I were to tap on View Themes, it then shows me a ton of different ones that I could potentially use. But what I did is I went to page 2, and the one that I'm using currently is right up here in the top right corner. So I tapped on that one and then it instantly started downloading that theme. But that's really it that I themed on my lock screen. So I'm gonna just go ahead and unlock my device. Now what you're seeing here is a theme called Vibra. Now what I like about Vibra is that it changed the look of my icons, but not too drastically to the point that I couldn't really make out what they were. Because some of these themes really alter the look of your icons a little bit more than I care for, but this particular one was perfect for me. Now moving on to the top, if I tap up here, compliments of Wink, I then can see what's supposed to be in my status bar. So as you can see, I have my time and a couple of other items over here. Now in order to see that date, I have date and status bar installed, and I was able to rearrange the items in my status bar with the tweak known as Movable 9, which let me put my time over here and my Wi-Fi logo and my carrier symbol over here. Now taking a look at these icons, this is done with OpenNotifier. So anytime I have a notification in my mail, my messages, or my phone app, Snapchat, Instagram, all of those notifications, instead of being a badge on my device, are now up here in my notification center. As for the theme for my Wi-Fi symbol and signal strength, that was done with Android status bar, I believe. I can't remember the name exactly, but I'm gonna have it annotated in the video for you. Now moving on down to the bottom here, if I were to tap on that, this will pull up what's known as my AppDrawer. So if you've used an Android device before, then you know exactly what this is. This is a central place for every app you have installed. So I can go through all of my apps in here, or I can tap on favorites and see specific ones that I've made a favorite application. Now I just have a 2-page setup, so I have my icons here, and then if I swipe over, I have my folders. I really don't like seeing, you know, like a bunch of icons that are not themed with a bunch of icons that are themed, so yeah, that's kind of the purpose of my folders. Now, speaking of folders, this little layout I have going for the icons was done with FolderEnchancer. And if I were to tap on one of these folders, it opens up in this manner with a tweak known as ClassicFolders. Now, in taking a look at my control center, I really like what's going on in here because it just gives me my necessities and it's not a bunch of other extra stuff that I don't ever use. I used a couple of things here: CC Clean, CC Loader, and CC Settings. I also use Springtomize 3 to adjust the background color, and HideMeX to make things permanently non-visible. And I also have Acapella installed so that if I am listening to something with some audio, I don't have to use the volume slider. I can just tap on the left or right in that section to turn the volume up of the music that I'm listening to or the sound that I'm listening to, and just tap to turn the volume down as well. Now, I do have a theme going on in my control center, which is different than my home screen theme, and this one is known as Indigo, and that's how I got my icons to look like that. Sliding down from my notification center, I use Springtomize 3 to color the backgrounds of this, and I also use HideMeX to get rid of certain things that I didn't want in here, in combination with simple sensors to also get rid of things that I don't want in here. So for instance, I don't have the, notification and today tab at the top that you normally would see, which means in order for me to get to my notifications, I have to swipe on my screen and then my notifications come up. And looking here, you can see that my notifications, which may potentially be blurred out right now, but nonetheless, what is going on in here is a very clean look with no lines in between notifications and things like that. But you can really customize this section to look how you want it to be. Moving on into my settings, you probably notice my font looks a little bit different. That was done with ByteFont 3. And the particular font face I have installed, I'm gonna annotate in the video because the name escapes me right now. I also have circle icons installed here so that you don't see the icons for each item. And that's really it that I think I have going on in there. If I were to turn the volume up or down on my device, I don't have to have that ugly volume HUD. Compliments of StatusBarColor 2, so you can just see the volume being adjusted up in my status bar versus in the center of my screen. I also made my status bar a little bit smaller with Tiny Bar, and I was able to give it a different color with the tweak known as StatusBarColor. I also slightly tweaked my messages with something known as Messages Customizer, and I used the theme Android Lollipop Messages to get my chat bubbles to look the way you see them. Now, if I pull up my keyboard, I have a few things installed here, which are Swipe Expander and Nude keys. So Swipe Expander gives me an extra set of keys on top of the keys that are already there. So normally I would have to tap 1, 2, 3 in order to pull up these numbers that are currently shown above each letter. So if I wanted to use the number 1, I can just swipe up and use it instead like that. Now I was able to remove the lines in between my keys with Nude keys, and also it gave me the option to color my keyboard as well. And I think other than that, those are all the tweaks that I have installed on my device right now. I know it's been a very long time since I've done one of these videos, and it's primarily because for that amount of time, I was pretty much very stock. I was still jailbroken, but just not theming my phone as heavy as you see right now, so it looked very stock. So if this is something that you want to see me continue to put some time and effort in, please hit that like button so that I know that's something you want. You can also connect with me further on my social sites, which will be listed in the description box with a ton of other things in reference to this video, such as my tweak list, my website, all that good stuff. But that's gonna sum it up for this one. You can drop your questions or comments down below. And as always, thanks for taking the time out to let me tech you out.